Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be across this beautiful blue-green globe of ours. Welcome to Seahawk Boys TV. I'm your host, Mike Barra, Seahawk Boy Mike in Las Vegas, Nevada. Great to be with you again. This is an all-sports stream. Happy Sunday to everybody. Hope you guys are doing great. I'm off to a great start today. Got up this morning, got to watch the champions, Manchester City, my four-time Premier League champions, Champions League treble winners. Historic. It came that close. They should have won. They should have made more history, which is to win the FA Cup and the Premier League 2 years in a row, both trophies. They didn't do it, but it is important to remember with Manchester City that they are one Riyad Mahrez missed penalty away from being the 7-time consecutive Premier League champions, which is a record that would probably never be broken. And they've done it by spending less than Manchester United, Liverpool, and Chelsea in the last 10 years. So not a bad record for my boys in light blue. I got to say this. I thought Chelsea played really well. They look like the second best team in the Premier League. They definitely look better than Arsenal and Bukayo Saka. So I am not here to talk about English football. I'm here to talk about American football. We're here to talk a little bit of Seahawks. Let's get right to it. Okay, welcome back. I'm Seahawk Boy Mike. This is Seahawk Boys TV on a special Sunday edition, the day after preseason game number 2. Now, before we get into any details, let's hope that I don't get my stream canceled on the YouTube channels once again for showing highlights that are posted on YouTube, because I got my stream stopped last week because of that. Makes no sense. This time I was able to watch the entire game in its entirety, live streaming. I got NFL Plus, even though I live out of market. NFL Plus, you're only supposed to be able to see the games on your phone or your tablet, which is ridiculous bullshit, but I managed to stream it to my TV set through my Xbox. So you might try that just to get the preseason games in their entirety. First of all, let's get to the big points. We're going to go into some details of what some other people have said. I think, of course, you couldn't maintain the level that they maintained last week. They were playing a much better team. The Tennessee Titans have a lot more talent. The two teams had practiced against each other in a couple of joint practices this week, which probably gave them a certain familiarity with what each team was going to run. Having said that, I saw some shit out there that I didn't like very much. Like Tennessee on one play, one of the other games I saw, there was multiple blitzes, things that I didn't think were really okay. I thought Sam Howell played really pretty well. I mean, if you expand his retinue, if you expand what he did in the first half to the second half, he would have thrown for over 300 yards, had a couple of touchdowns, no interceptions. He didn't have any interception-worthy balls, which for Sam Howell is really important. He didn't throw any passes that should have been intercepted. That's a big step for him, and it maybe shows that he's, getting the coaching, getting better, starting to overcome the shell shock that he has taken with him from his first 2 seasons in Washington, D.C., and especially under Eric, sleeping with Bieniemy, who has got to be one of the worst offensive coordinators in NFL history. Having said that, I thought he looked good. He made a couple of bad throws, but he made a couple of great throws. Hopefully, we'll be able to squeak in some of the highlights, again, without getting banned by YouTube. I'm going to try to show them on Twitter and see if the fact that it's a Twitter screen might not trick it. But if the stream goes offline, if you're watching on YouTube, if the stream goes offline for a little while, it will come back once I stop showing those highlights. Ideally, I'd like to just show the highlight reel behind me while I'm talking to you guys, but that's apparently a no-no to show YouTube highlights from YouTube on YouTube. Apparently it's some sort of copyright violation. Shows you that the whole YouTube upper hierarchy needs to go to prison, amongst other things. Hey guys, nice to have a couple of you in here. Anyway, so Sam Howell had a good game. Obviously, there were some other players who had good games, and we're going to go through those bit by bit. I've got an article here I want to share, which is winners and losers from yesterday's Seahawks game. Let's see, can we expand that? Will that make it? No, it doesn't make it any better. That makes it worse. Let's do this. Okay, that's the best we're going to do. Again, winners and losers from last night's game. I think Sam Howell, again, played really well. He's a backup. He is a backup quarterback, and it makes you wonder, why would you spend a third-round pick on a backup quarterback, a guy that you know his ceiling is probably a backup quarterback, when you could have simply drafted Spencer Rattler in the third, fourth, twice, or fifth round and gotten a player who's got more upside than Sam Howell, more physical upside, more instinctive upside, more intangible upside. I think it was a bad deal. And I mean, again, I look at Howell and I see a couple of great throws. I see a couple of not so great throws. And I see a lot of solid, okay throws. He looks to me like Drew Lock. And I hate to say that, but he kind of looks like Drew Lock. Easop Winston Jr., he caught the touchdown pass, 3 catches for 47 yards, played very well. He, at the very least, he'll be a top option for the practice squad. No, he won't. Somebody that needs a receiver like the Steelers are going to pick him up, if the Seahawks do not take him. Kenny McIntosh ran really well. Good game, 63 scrimmage yards on 10 touches. That is a 6.3 average, by the way, which is outstanding. Nice physical running in the open field. A.J. Barner had a catch. It was only one catch, but this is a good point that this guy makes here. His lone catch went for 17 yards, but he had a big role in 2 big runs by Kenny McIntosh, showcasing his talents as a blocker. And I think that is significant because, as we'll get to the depth chart in a little bit, I think he's going to be one of the 3 tight ends this team keeps. Laviska Shenault, another outstanding game, 3 catches for 27 yards, huge block on a kickoff. And he also had a carry, I believe 1 carry for 8 or 9 yards. So Laviska Shenault needs to make this team as the 5th wide receiver. Derek Hall, this guy says it felt like Derek Hall was a menace getting to the quarterback. He did. He had some pressure. Again, keep in mind, these guys are going against second, third, and fourth string guys, but Derek Hall brought some good pressure. Mike Morris was the sleeper in this game. Yeah, again, he's going against lesser guys, but he's got quickness. He's got more quickness than I thought getting to the ball. And he helped attack the quarterback, and he recorded a sack and 2 quarterback hits. Mike Morris has got to make this team. Tyrese Knight, 4th-round rookie linebacker, led the team with 8 tackles. Comes with the acknowledgement that tackles as a volume stat aren't a great measurement of efficiency. I agree with that, but it looks like he's going to be a backup linebacker. Jamie Sheriff had a pretty good game. He had a sack, some pressures, helped snuff out the run. That's a good evaluation. Ty Okada, I don't remember who that guy was. But anyway, losers. PJ Walker just doesn't look like anything more than a 3rd-string NFL quarterback. He doesn't. He had a good game in the first game, looked less efficient this game. Again, he's playing with the scrubs, but that's because PJ is a scrub. So I think that there was a huge separation between Sam Howell and PJ Walker this week in terms of the backup quarterback spot. Last week, I thought it was fairly even, so big improvement there. Jason Myers missed a point after touchdown. He sucks. We're overpaying for him. Some comments about the offensive line, and Marquise Blair had a typical game. He got a penalty, a roughing penalty on Mason Rudolph. It was not roughing. Let's see if we can just sort of click on this and see if we can get some highlights going on in the background, and maybe not get killed off of YouTube. I don't know. We're just going to run those a little bit. Anyway, that was a good evaluation. There's also another article called Studs and Duds. Jason Myers got a little bit of both. Derek Hall played well. Again, Boye Mafe getting good penetration, but we're not really talking about guys who have they're not going against top level players. Now, having said that, there were a couple of other guys that I thought, okay, let's turn this off. And is anybody on YouTube? Can you tell me if I'm still on YouTube with these highlights reeling in the background? I don't know, but we'll turn them off right now just to get done with it. Stop sharing. I'm going to reshare again. This time we're going to share the Opera browser. There we go. Over on Seahawk Boy Mike Beres. Twitter X. So go over to Twitter X and follow Seahawk Boy Mike Barrett if you want to just talk about football. I keep politics and everything else out of that particular account. So some interesting things that I thought were developments from the game. Let's go to the likes. And a lot of people are saying that, Sam Howell's going to challenge Geno Smith. Look, I'm not a big fan of Geno Smith. You all know that. But peak Geno Smith of 2022 is a better player than Sam Howell. Yesterday's first half is probably the best half Sam Howell's ever played. And he played it against second and third team scrubs. So I can't really say that Sam Howell's any kind of a challenge at Geno Smith. I think we continually have a problem at the quarterback position. Mina Kimes, noted complete dingbat, DEI hire, dumb bitch who shouldn't be talking about football. Oh, the pressure to sack rate in 2023. All that means is that Geno throws the ball away faster than Sam Howell. So he gets more incompletions. So great. Again, let's see if these highlights go forward. Here is Sam Howell's throw for the touchdown to Winston Easop. Nice throw, nice catch. You can't really place that ball any better than that. Here's Derek Hall coming in off the edge, pressuring and sacking Malik Willis along with Boye Mafe getting there. And it was a relatively good game for the Seahawks. But one thing I will say about this game that is a problem, I believe, is that the reality that they didn't play as disciplined as they played in week one. There were more mistakes. There were more penalties. There were more dumb plays. It started to feel like I'm still on YouTube. Wow, I love that. It started to feel like they lost a little bit of the discipline that they had in week one. Now, could that be because you've got a lot more substitute guys in there? Yes, absolutely. Really, Trey Brown wasn't out there much. I think he had a couple of snaps. That was really about it. You know what? I should really look for snap counts on the Seahawks from yesterday. And of course, a well-prepared guy would have been there already, had that already set. But let's go to NFL scores, see full scores and schedules. Pardon me while you watch me do this. Yeah, the Seahawks gave up a lot of first downs. They let the Titans offense make a lot of plays, and they were not going against Will Levis. I kind of wanted Will Levis to play. I wanted him to humiliate Pete and John for not drafting him, but that's kind of the way it went. And they decided not to for fairly obvious reasons. So as we look at this game, I'd have to say that they had a few more issues than they had in the first week. They had some big improvement from Sam Howell and a few other guys. And I do think that this does adversely affect some guys who are going to have some trouble. By the way, everybody's making such a big deal out of Caleb Williams. Look at Caleb Williams rolling to his right. Oh, yeah, rolling to his right and throwing the ball. Boy, nobody in the NFL. People are acting on Twitter like nobody has ever done this in the NFL before. Lamar, Burrow, Rattler, Kyler Murray, Russ, all kinds of guys were able to do that stuff. So one of the things I wanted to talk about is the Seahawks depth chart. And let's slide over there and show that. Okay. So as I look at this, after 2 weeks of the preseason, and we're really not going to change that much at this point, I think it's very interesting for some of the position battles because, again, you look at DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Smith-Njigba, they're all locks. Jake Bobo and Laviska Shenault, I think, are the next two guys. Winston Esopp, I would think about keeping him. Stone Forsythe got killed yesterday for giving up a sack. He got blown away by the Titans defender. In reality, what happened is Kenny McIntosh tripped him, came up behind him, kicked him in the back of his right foot, and he tripped over him. So let's go easy on Stone Forsythe. I don't think there's much changes along there. I didn't really see anybody on the offensive line that particularly impressed me. Maybe Anthony Bradford. And they also played Christian Haynes at left guard a little bit yesterday, which was kind of interesting. Now, where I think it gets interesting is the tight ends. You got Noah Fant, you got Pharaoh Brown, AJ Barner, and Brady Russell. Brady Russell had a drop, a ball. It was a high throw from Sam Howell. It was Sam Howell's fault. If that ball had been thrown properly, no problem. Brady Russell would have caught it, but he had to go up for it, came down, and then bobbled it. I think technically it was a catch, but it was also close enough that it could easily be ruled not a catch. Having said that, Brady Russell made a couple of other plays in that game, and I think if I'm making a depth chart, I'm sliding him up past Pharaoh Brown. I think your top three tight ends are Noah Fant, Brady Russell, and AJ Barner. AJ Barner is going to stick because he was a high pick, a fourth-round pick. He shows some ability to block. Pharaoh Brown is useless except as a blocker. I expect them to cut him and maybe stick him on the practice squad, potentially bring him back. I don't think there should be a practice squad, by the way. I think we should have 60-man rosters and all 60 players available and active for every single game. I think PJ Walker's not going to make it as our third quarterback. Didn't see any really major changes to the running back situation. Top three are still Walker, Charbonnet, McIntosh. I think Halani's probably going to make the next selection. But I do think you have to say that on the defensive tackles, Mike Morris has got to move up there. In fact, you got to ask yourself, would Mike Morris be a better player than Draymond Jones at a much cheaper price? Something seriously they have to think about. I did notice Kobe Bryant almost had a pick yesterday. That's a fairly major improvement. And look, for what we're paying Jason Myers, which I think is something relatively ridiculous. Let's see what Jason Myers' cap hit is here. $5.5 million. We should have just cut him last year and went and got a rookie kicker because, again, I don't think this team is a serious contender for anything. So that's what it comes down to is everybody's evaluation of where the Seahawks are at has to come from where you think they are. Now, I ran a poll on my Twitter X account. I ran a poll this week, and it was absolutely kind of crazy, the responses that I got. I asked people, let me see if I can show this. I asked people, do you think, honestly, do you think that if Geno Smith, peak Geno Smith, 2022, Geno Smith is the quarterback, that the Seahawks still win the 2013 Super Bowl? And let me see if I can find that poll. I don't seem to have it. Where is it? Why do I not have this? Well, yeah, the votes came in out of 18 or so votes. They came in about 70% yes, that Geno Smith would have been the winning quarterback. And if you think that, you're fucking cracked, okay? Russell Wilson was able to do things to get away from the 49ers rush that Geno Smith could never do in a million years. On his best day, Geno Smith couldn't get away from those rushes. He made throws that Geno Smith probably can't make under pressure, and he played huge in a huge game against a great 49ers team. So it just shows me the level of delusion that I think exists in Seahawksville. Now, it's not my job to bring you back down to earth. It's not my job. It's just my job to give you what I think and let you debate it and disseminate it and tell me whether you think I'm right or wrong. But the reality is that the Seahawks are a contender. The question is, what are they a contender for? Are they a contender to make the playoffs? I'd have to say, with better coaching and some of the performances they've gotten in the preseason, the judgment on that is yes, because the better coaching, especially of the defense, is going to help them win some games that they lost last year. Now, having said that, you got to be careful about luck. Pete Carroll had a lot of luck, had a lot of balls bounce his way. The Jamal Adams header is a prime example of that game. That's a game they would have lost if the ball hadn't bounced off Jamal Adams' helmet. So I think now the ceiling is no longer 10-7. I think it's 11-6. I really think that is their. I think they could win 11 games. So are they a contender to win the division? No, I don't think so. I don't think there's enough depth, and I don't think the quarterbacks are good enough. I do expect Geno Smith to miss time with injuries. He's 34 years old. He's been injured the last few weeks. He hasn't played yet in the preseason. We will get our first look at him probably with the running with the ones next week in the final preseason game. Let's hope that is a good look and that is something that we come away impressed by. But Geno, you're not going to win a Super Bowl with Geno Smith at quarterback. You're not going to win a Super Bowl with Sam Howell at quarterback. It's even possible, if you stayed healthy and got on a lucky run, that you could get to a Super Bowl, but you're not going to beat Patrick Mahomes. You're not going to beat Joe Burrow. You're not going to beat Josh Allen. And gosh, how great would it be if Josh Allen won a Super Bowl for the Buffalo Bills? I mean, he throws a lot of interceptions, but he's a great player. So if you're not a contender for a Super Bowl, you're really, let's face it, a contender for a wild card. So I gave back before training camp. The ceiling is 7-10, or the floor is 7-10, the ceiling at 10-7. I'm now going to say the floor is still 7-10. There still could be things that go wrong. And the ceiling is now 11-6. So I do think there's been some improvement. I'm more optimistic after seeing the team play, but they have to clean up the mistakes, the silly plays from yesterday. And we don't know what the first teamer guys are going to look like. But the Achilles heel of this team is going to be the quarterback. They're not contenders for the division. The 49ers, I think, are clearly going to win that. And they're definitely not contenders for a Super Bowl unless a bizarre series of events went their way. In other news, Russell Wilson reportedly struggled in his first game with Pittsburgh. Yeah, they didn't score a lot of points, but I also saw the same shit I've been seeing with Russell for the last 3-4 years. He goes back to pass. He's got slow, shitty receivers. Nobody is open, and he gets sacked within 3 seconds because the blocking just breaks down. So it's funny how all these commentators who want Russ to suck blame Russell for everything. And I've gone back and looked at like the play that was run over and, oh, Russell Wilson just doesn't have it anymore. It's like, I don't think any quarterback would have made a play out of that particular play. So I think it's really unfair, but we'll have to wait and see what happens on the Russell front. The Steelers are coming to Las Vegas this year to play the Raiders. I would like to go to that game. I would love to go to that game and just watch Russ live and see if he's the same guy or not. So anyway, I would describe this is that I'm feeling more optimistic now about the Seahawks, that they have more talent. And I've told you for the last 3 years, this defense is less than the sum of its parts. That is because of the coaching. Now they're getting good coaching. They appear to be a smart defense. They appear to be a better defense. I can't wait to see the number ones on the field. And I don't think the difference is that if there's something that teams see against us, that they start exploiting, this coaching staff is going to figure out how the other teams are doing it, and they're going to fix it. You didn't have that hope with Pete Carroll. Never, ever, ever had that hope. So that makes me optimistic. I still think the Achilles heel of this team is at the quarterback position. And had they, again, drafted Spencer Rattler in the third, twice in the fourth, or once in the fifth, the five times they had a chance to pick him, I think we'd have a young quarterback that had future potential far beyond what Geno Smith has. It's the one thing missing, the one thing keeping me from being too optimistic. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up. Go City, go Hawks. Last preseason game is next week. I think we'll see some of the starters, more of the starters running with the first team. It's Geno's debut, and we get a really good look at it, whether Geno's going to be any good. And, there's people talking about an extension for Geno Smith. Geno went and asked for to talk to the Seahawks about an extension. The answer is no. You're not good enough. You're a $25 million a year quarterback. That's good enough. And if we cut you next year, we save $25 million under the cap, a cap which, by the way, we are still, 17 million over as I speak? Let me look over here. We are still, we're $26 million over the cap next year. So, again, without going through all the cuts that I would make, anybody close to 30 would get cut. I think the move to make for this team is next year is to cut Geno Smith and move on from him and get a young quarterback behind Sam Howell, because Sam Howell right now looks like he's good enough to be a serviceable bridge quarterback. So that's where we're at. I don't think that's changed. All right, guys, thanks for being here. Appreciate each and every one of you. I will be back tomorrow with the new show with Jen, and everybody have a great rest of your weekend. Go Hawks.